in that spinning ball. Indoctrination blinded us all. From the very first day that we went to school, they put a globe in your face and that thing looked cool. The teacher explained how it all worked. Of course it sounded so berserk, but who was I to question it? Because I was just a tiny kid. It sounded crazy as could be, but teacher would never lie to me. She was real nice, she didn't know. She too was taught to believe in that globe. I don't blame her, it wasn't her fault. She was only repeating what she'd been taught. I went through life believing that lie. That spinning ball was now in my mind.
Don't let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man.
Don't let them tell you that you are not divine.
Don't let them do it, man, no.
Take control of your soul.
Take back control. Yeah.
Find the truth, find it all.
Find it all, man. Yeah.
Don't believe their lies.
Don't believe it, man.
Let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man. Alright, man, listen up. So I'm hurling through space on a road to nowhere. So I live my life without a care, cause I was taught that there ain't no creator. That's what I was told from my educator. So I live my life so selfishly, there ain't gonna be no hell for me. I'll do what I want with no care for others, with no respect for my brothers. Until one day when I woke up and I drank some truth with my coffee cup. I learned that things ain't what they seem. This so-called reality is just a dream. There's deception everywhere that I look. The news, the TV, and in my school books. And pretty soon I realized that everything's just a pack of lies, man.
Don't let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man.
Don't let them tell you that you are not divine.
Don't let them do it, man, no.
Take control of your soul.
Take back control. Yeah.
Find the truth, find it all.
Find it all, man. Yeah.
Don't believe their lies.
Don't believe it, man.
Let them take your mind.
Let them take your mind, man. Yeah, man. It's deception on a biblical level. It's orchestrated by the devil. Many think that hate don't exist, but that's what he wants, that's one of his tricks. But I found out that dude's real, and I tell you, man, that's a bitter pill. So I questioned everything I was told. I had to question that spinning globe. I had to relearn it all again and get some truth inside this brain. And pretty soon I realized that the globe I was taught was a pack of lies. So I studied as hard as can be. I found the flat earth conspiracy. Man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. The globe I was taught was a devil's trick.
Don't let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man.
Don't let them tell you that you are not divine.
Don't let them do it, man, no.
Take control of your soul.
Take back control. Yeah.
Find the truth, find it all.
Find it all, man. Yeah.
Don't believe their lies.
Don't believe it, man.
Let them take your mind.
Let them take your mind, man. I started to connect the dots, and I'm telling you, man, there are lots. I soon realized that the earth was flat. It's not a belief, man, it's a fact. And once I found out that reality, well, it did a funny thing to me. For a while there, I was pretty shocked, but now I know that there is a God. And once you get to that point of understanding, and once you know there ain't no moon landing, and once you know that space is fake, you view your life with a different take. It ain't just random chance that we're here. We ain't living on no stupid sphere. It ain't some ridiculous spinning ball. The earth is flat and God created it all.
Don't let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man.
Don't let them tell you
found out about all these lies. I live a completely different life. I stopped reading the news and turned off the TV. That thing is evil as can be. I started being a nicer guy, and God forbid I tell a lie. I treat people with more respect, and I've got me a wife that I'd never neglect. Yeah, being good.
All right, guys, welcome to our Black Hole Sun presentation. Today we're going to let our friend Kiwi play the song Black Hole Sun, I think, to start us off. Bring us into a already in progress conversation. All right, man, I think you're good to go. Kiwi? Oh, Kiwi? Let's go. Let it roll. Cool.
Dude, get adblock, man.
In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows. Has the face, lies the snake, in the sun, in my distress.
I've never seen the music video.
Boiling heat, summer stench, neath the black, the sky looks dead. Call my name through the cream, and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away the rain. Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? Won't you come?
Yeah, man, I've never seen this music video. How crazy is that?
Oh, bro, the symbolism is crazy. Ego on fleek.
Well,
And Chris knew about the babies. I mean the kids. Oh, Chris knew.
it's definitely like layered. It's a pretty good green screen.
This is back in the early 90s.
It was like 93,
Yeah, these guys were like, this shit's sick up to back then. Pretty good for now.
We had
That
Soundgarden,
really does have a creepy vibe.
you had Pearl Jam, then you got Temple of the Dog.
Definitely nothing I would listen to.
It's like eerie.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, obviously you can throw in an eclipse if you want.
Well, like, well, yeah, like, what do you think they mean by Black Hole Sun exactly? What do you think they meant?
They're showing you.
This right here?
But the Bible describes the sun turning, you know, the lights turning dark at one point. And when the stars are falling down.
That
For
serpent
me-
tongue?
Yes, for me, obviously, like, the eclipse is the commercial idea, but Chris Cornell knew stuff, and to take the literal aspect of what we realize it to be, the design of a sun that is located down a black hole, to me, it describes the original engine. You know, just what we talked about with Theorize on my show, with the original, the creation on day one. So
Exactly.
I see it as such, dude.
See, I've heard this song and I like it, but I never knew, like, what it was. Like, I never saw, like, the album title for it or knew what it was associated. It sounded no less goofy than any other, like, you know, pop song or whatever. But now I'm like, yeah, now I'm like, damn, wait a second.
Yeah, dude.
Keep in mind, this was 25 years ago.
Is it? When did this come out? Early 90s, huh?
94.
Wow.
Bro, I was
You ever looked
14.
into? Have you looked into the shadiness around his death?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Well, it was him and the dude from Lincoln Park, right?
Oh,
Bedingfield.
Chris. Oh, no, what's his...
Chris-
Oh, man.
What's his name?
Chris Parnell or Parnell or something?
Chester.
Chris Cornell, and then Chester, and then Chester is John Podesta's son,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
right? So you know they knew stuff, and 100%. Like apparently Chris Cornell was writing a book and all kinds of stuff. So that's why I say like this black hole sun idea is not just an eclipse. Like he knew stuff, and this was definitely a song written to like, you know, if you knew, you knew.
Interesting. Because I do think that, like, this knowledge, this occulted knowledge is known to, like, Freemasonry and is the occulted secret that they withhold for people at the top, right? They hold it over your head. It's, like, used as a reward. And I think that's why it's occulted, because they give it to you and reward to you. But it's also, like, there for you to figure out if you're capable, right? Nothing is stopping you. You can get it as a reward if you know, sell your soul. Or you can figure it out yourself, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Cheers on that intro. Cheers. Nice.
That was cool, man.
Dude, you suggested it, man.
All right. So, everyone see my screen? Everyone tuned in?
Okay, well, I'm not gonna just let you go like that. Guys, thanks for being here. Welcome to the Anti-Disinformation League. Shane's about to drop some knowledge on us when it comes with respects to the black hole sun. So Shane, without further ado, man, take it away. Everybody, if you can, please hit the watch stream button on your device. Yeah.
Kiwi said knowledge. Okay, first clarification. This is like mostly speculation. But it's actually really good. So I put together this video. It's pretty much the smartest people that I've encountered talking about the concept that I'm going to try and cover tonight. I think it's got clips of Witsit. It's got a little bit of Iwarnon. It's got lots of visuals from me and some heavy editing. So it's like 45 minutes. It's kind of long. We could definitely pause and talk about it, but I do have other shit to show after that. So it's, you know, try to keep a little bit. We'll keep rolling, and then we can always pause and go back at the end. Everyone cool? If you're on PC, you want to right click and adjust stream volume because it'll default it to 25%. If you're on a phone, you got to do like the options or scroll up till you get the options, and you got to adjust it because it'll start at 25%. All right, cool. Here we go. Just wanted to give a general disclaimer. I know most of this stuff isn't for everyone. Most people think we got to stick to either science or mythos or spirituality or just the Bible, and my particular opinion is we understand everything when we go through all the avenues. So I think mythology's understanding of our world would help our scientific explanation and so on. I know I'm not I might be alone in that opinion, but if not, come on the journey with me, and if not, we'll see you on the other side.
Is it supposed to have no sound?
No, it's supposed to be loud. Can you not hear it?
No, there's no sound. At least for me.
Can anyone else hear it?
No, sound was.
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
Sound
Perfect.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
Loud,
sounds
sure.
fine.
I mean, it's just background music, but there's definitely integral sound later. So it's just all right, Clay. Do you have it muted or something?
Oh yeah, there's another thingy that you can use to mute. Yeah.
You
that's
got it?
my
Cool. Here we go. Yeah, I love this part, right? It's just a focus on the Northern Lights and what we think they are.
Noble gas is dancing in the atmos.
I think it's more than that.
Look at that, man. Beautiful. It's like you can see the ether in action.
That's, yeah. I mean, that's
man.
that's kind of what I think it might be.
They call it, I think. Yeah, this is what, like, I think airplanes would jump onto and ride on. Right? In action. Pathways. busy street. So,
Just the time elapse too. Like those waves are going way slower than what we're watching.
Really slow. Yeah, this is all super sped up
Yeah.
time lapse.
Yeah. If you're actually there, that's just. You're just
I mean,
looking at
it
like a
seems to be
clock.
uniquely always green, and it's always like this pulsating, just like I would say majestic. Look at that. And the
You dropped the
globe.
link. You dropped the link to the source of this video.
There's a bunch of sources in the description, but
So this is like
I don't think that one's
human
actually
here,
in
right?
there.
So even people have this like toroid.
So yeah, this is Witsit. This is like, so the day I came to Discord, I came to talk to Witsit. I asked him about pretty much all this stuff, and then like an hour later, he did a Globebusters presentation on all the stuff we talked about. Now I don't know if that was planned. He was already gonna do it, and I just happened to find him right before and ask him all these things. But he's definitely using some of the stuff that I gave him when we were talking. So I think this is probably the coolest description of what I think it is, because Witsit and I had just gone over it, and he pretty much presented it exactly correct.
Energy field,
Nice.
and it seems like it's roughly 6 feet, and that's maybe why.
So
it's
I added
within that
added a
distance
whole
of
bunch of these
people,
visuals,
'cause
too.
It starts to compound. So anyway, just to elucidate the point, this is in all nature. So go here. This is kind of a crude little representation of maybe what some people would call an atom. Of course, atomism is stupid, but my point is, in my assessment, they've basically drawn a circle around a toroid. There's nothing more than a toroid. They say the atom is 99.99999% emptiness. That's a cool story, bro. And it has a quote-unquote north and south pole, or positive and negative. As everything from the macro to the micro is the same manifestation of energy, as I see it. Okay, so most people have seen this. This is a ferrocell cell image of a magnet, and basically to try to explain this, so counterintuitively to a lot of people, actually, the stronger a magnet, the smaller the magnetic field. A lot of people would kind of think it's the opposite, and you know, if you had a really strong magnet, you'd have this huge magnetic field, but that's actually not the case. The primary source of the power, like a vast majority of the power, is actually the dielectricity, or in this image, the black, right? That's where the power is. The concentration of power is in that black. And so the more power that you have there, the smaller the magnetic field, which is kind of counterintuitive, but
Right. That's something I want to say about the dielectric inertial plane there, the black area. This guy's is what is most commonly referred to as counter space. Okay?
Who's that, Bob?
Meaning that when you have
Yeah,
the
that's Bob.
toroidal,
That is Bob.
centripetal, and centrifugal lines of force that come out and manifest into the toroid, you have the
Centripetal
centripetal, which
convergence,
is like, kind of like the tornado
centrifugal
that's going down the
divergence.
center of it, and the centrifugal, which is going outside. They are connected at some point, but that point is not obvious in our realm. So they're going into kind of a counter realm or counter spatial realm
Yeah.
to make that connection for their conjugal type of relationship. In other words, their power sustaining relationship. And go ahead, Austin. Sorry about that.
exactly. Well, that's a good point to elucidate. Like, and conjugate, for those who don't know, is effectively reciprocation. In inverse relationship, conjugate reciprocation. So it's like conjugate geometry, meaning like if you took a donut and you drew it around the inside, you have the inside and then you have the donut as well. So like this top right image here would be, speculatively, us looking down on the earth. Okay, speculatively, right? But so if you look on like the bottom left, you see that white line where you have the inertial plane. And if you look at the top right again, it would be, hypothetically, if you're looking down on the earth, and this may be why you're not allowed to fly within 500 miles of each direction, why we don't have any accurate map at all, because you don't have an accurate central point, like with any type of fundamental specificity. And this may explain the infatuation with the Nazi and stuff. So I just want people to kind of like keep this in mind. If you look at the top left, you can kind of see, in theory, what would be encompassing the Earth. I know there's a lot of things you have to piece together, where the quadrupole type of characteristics and stuff like that. But just to kind of elucidate the point, I will bring this image back up in a second, but I wanted to give everyone a visualization. And yeah, we could go in a whole freaking show about this, right? But the way that I see it is dielectricity is the ether at rest, magnetism is the ether in motion. I think that's kind of the simplest way for me to try to elucidate to people. Dielectricity and magnetism are not two different things. They are two different versions of the same thing, being the etheric background, meaning an energetic background that acts as a medium. Like ice and water are not different things. All right. So we'll move on here. So this is the infamous swastika, as has been coined, and I think a lot of people know it's been demonized. And it's funny how we've talked about the SL Brotherhood of the Bell and the connection there with what were they actually doing, what were they actually obsessed with. I think I can actually say the word if I can. That's absolutely absurd. But they would basically have said that they were overcoming the deception of Jewish physics. And of course, Einstein was an ethics supremacist, and as we've covered pretty much a frontman. But anyway, they basically looked at it, and that's why you had that book signed by like 100 and something scientists saying, like, combating Einstein, saying he was taking science down a world of like metaphysics and math and magic, effectively, and just becoming detached from reality. So this is kind of what I think the Nazis were up to. Now that we have but just a portion of history at all times, so we're just going to rock with what we do know. Anyway, most people know that this right here seems to be a representation of the Big Dipper. And this is the 4 seasons as it moves across the sky, right?
Yeah, I think everyone knows this one, right?
Positions. This is a very ancient symbol.
This isn't a mic drop to anyone.
Demonized, and this ties into because they've removed the fundamental framework for actual interpretation of the physical world and energy, so that we'll just walk around paying our utility bills.
Those lines are
so
curvy.
This is where I think it gets kind of interesting. Now I'm just not looking into this. It's kind of a rough presentation.
I think there's different forms of the swastika.
If you were to overlay
this is more accurate. Here we go.
Multiple times, so if you were to take that and then lay it down 3 different times, you'd get 12 total lines. And this is the symbol for the black sun. Right, so I find that part to be very intriguing. Where
there's the swastika and the Hawken Cruise. I just put it in.
That is not the swastika, dude. That's not okay.
Well, no, but this
was long before the swastika or whatever you claim that is.
Well, I think the claim right now is this is a piece of the black sun. The swastika, each one of these branches could be a swastika laid out. That's why what's it said. If you lay it out 3 times, you get the thing, because it actually it creates each one of these spokes. He's just saying the geometry pattern is familiar.
Well, aren't the lines way
too... The Big Dipper, right?
Aren't the lines way too long?
Well, no, because the middle is actually something else, right? So if you look, it's only this part. I don't know if you can see my screen. You can't see my cursor. So it's only like from the middle spoke outward, right? That's why it works.
I don't see how, when you pull swastika, all the swastikas multiplied in there.
Basically, you have the same geometry, you just overlay it more times, you get the black sun. As if the Big Dipper is but a portion of magnetic holography that represents the central geometry of the field. Hope that makes sense. So, again, it's a speculation. I'm still really trying to look into it, but it is interesting. Maybe that's also something that the symbol alludes to, but wasn't put in entirely in plain sight.
That's crazy. It's like with the top in the corner.
So the black sun isn't about like dark moons?
Right. So that's a good question. So basically, everyone conflates the black sun to something that's out in the sky, and
yeah, they usually conflate it with like Rahu and Ketu, the long supposed Hindu, invisible bodies that they suppose block the sun and cause, eclipses and stuff. That is not the black sun. That even though they are depicted as black, luminaries, that's why I think there is confusion.
And I do not think that's what is being referenced. I think that is a byproduct of the black sun just being. I wish I could go back, but again, that black center portion of the magnetic field. That is my speculation. So, and then that will be the central source of all energy that results in magnetic holography or a.
Dude, holy crap! That's the Soundgarden album cover.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you knew that or not. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the only place I knew it from. That's why when I watched it now, having looked into it and seeing this presentation that with the game, that's why I was like, oh, at the intro, like, oh, Because before I didn't mean anything.
Yeah, he wasn't just making shit up. He
And
kind of
it
knew what
just,
he was
I
doing.
mean, check the live stream or the live chat. I've got all the visuals posted up to cross-reference as stuff is going. Thanks.
Oh
guys.
yeah, nice dude, good stuff.
Projection, it would be working tangent with some type of containment, firmament, and then electromagnetic polarization would give you what we observe as the light in the sky. And if there is a dark body up there, it looks like that would also, as is everything, be a product of the central projection. In my opinion, the esoteric, like Gnostic elite representation or reference to the black sun would be the center of the surface. And it is not like a physical sphere that you can throw or something like that. It's a concentration of dielectricity. It's effectively pure potential boiled down to a concentrated point.
And the torus, the upper half of the torus coming off of it actually kind of looks like a tree. So there's your tree of life coming from the center.
Exactly. Now this is a famous, maybe some of the boomers can help me out here. I don't actually know. It's like Sound something. I forgot the name. It might be in the next one. But this is a famous like rock band, I think, and they have a song called Black Hole Sun. You guys ever heard of that? I don't remember, but maybe
yes,
like
yes,
back in the day.
definitely. Yes.
Soundgarden. Yeah.
That's a spooky ass video too.
I bet. So
Dude,
I think that this is a shout out to elite
Hey, I'm a boomer
Gnostic
now.
esoteric knowledge, right? And
He's
this
never
is one of
seen
the
it either.
major
That's
things I
awesome.
think these special boys that get in their little group with their little rituals and stuff. This is one of the big pieces of knowledge that they get, in my opinion. It has to do with this black hole, and so I just throw it out there because there's cultural reference, which is pretty intriguing. Yeah, the Jesuit symbol, not quite the same, but I think that we may be misguided.
I think it's
in
alluded.
thinking that their sun worship obsession is strictly like the light we see in the sky and we call sun. I think it's kind of a duality. Oh, there are no dualities in nature, but a duality of symbolism. So anyway, that's just the Jesuit symbol. Take it or leave it. That one's kind of out there. So here's kind of what I'm trying to say. You have this central portion. It's labeled as the opening. And this would be the black hole area of that Farrell cell image that we showed. And then you have Polaris, and then you have the intersection areas of the sky, which is what would give you the magnetic
I know this one is what I
or
gave
the
him.
projection of what we call the sun and the moon. I don't want to have to keep saying it. This is speculation. So that's what I think may be alluded to. Now, you've seen that type of geometry before with the Freemason symbol. You've always heard of the all-seeing eye being referenced. I didn't have time to put a ton of stuff on here, but what's very interesting is if you take electric optic imaging of the radiant sources of meteors, all meteors come from the same 6 places in the sky, which debunks heliocentrism right there, right? Reoccurring, they all come from the same 6 radiant sources in the sky. Well, it's very intriguing when you think about electrical discharge and this being an electrical system, but when you look at the image, it forms a pyramid. The actual radiant sources and then the image from the electro-optic imaging of the energy forms like this pyramidal structure central to the center of the Earth that goes up and then meets at Polaris. And so speculatively, this is what's being referenced to when you constantly see the pyramid. There is this concentration of pyramidal energy coming down. And then you have the all-seeing eye, which would be Polaris.
I totally agree with that, Austin. Totally. I mean,
Right,
that
which
is
is
absolutely representative of that.
Bob totally agrees.
I've never
Max.
heard of this whole.
Bob
all
totally
meteors
agrees.
come from 6 places in the sky. That part really stands out to me. I'm like, wow, I gotta know more about that.
Yeah, very crazy. I want to do a show on it, but yeah, they all come from the same 6 spots in the sky, which just absolutely obliterates heliocentrism. If you take this pyramid down to the surface, then of course you could continue it down to where you see this black sun down here. Right now, I don't necessarily know exactly about the depiction, as it would just be a black hole kind of in that opening area. And if you go down, is there another source? Is potentially, right? And it would basically be the inverse of Polaris. And of course, this is my worldview, but I think it's possible that the creator, or maybe you want to describe it as the creative force of all things, is right around Polaris, and everything moves central to it. And of course, as they have a religion of inversion, they have deified the black sun. So anyway, that's just my speculation. I think this depiction kind of puts it into visualization pretty well. And if you just
That
go look
stuff
at Freemasonic symbols,
we
it'll
agreed
start
on
to
like
kind of make a lot
immediately,
more sense.
like 100%. That's what it is.
What I got next.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's just a bunch of different depictions of kind of the visualization that I'm trying to point out to you guys. And it's simple, like he was saying. There's a tornado basically that goes down through the center of the surface of the Earth. So maybe you want to screenshot if you look at that. There's a bunch of stuff in there, which is pretty interesting.
It is in the appropriation and demonization of the symbol of the swastika that we find.
Oh yeah, right into Iwarnon a little bit of Witsit, a little bit of Iwarnon, because I think this is like the foundation for what I think we have to conclude comes next. I think Iwarnon does a good job setting this up though, science-wise. So
It does very well.
I definitely heavily modified this because it was huge and long, and I had to truncate the shit out of it. So I cut a lot out, but I think I got the basic gist of it.
Some very interesting insights. The existence of a vast amount of historical literature and symbolism suggestive of a vortex opening in the center of our world is too prevalent to be coincidental. We have looked at much of this before, but strangely enough, in the years preceding and during the complete demonization and eradication of the swastika's association with the vortex, we find some additional information regarding this central vortex that is astonishing. In addition to the appropriation of the swastika as their emblem, the Nazis were also obsessed with a very similar symbol, that of the Black Sun. Prior to the rise of the Nazi regime, there existed an occult secret society within Germany called the Thule Society, sometimes alternatively pronounced Thule, that had sub-factions within it. One of these sub-societies, we are told, was the Black Sun Society. Influenced by the Rosicrucians and other Hermetic groups, the Thule Society placed special emphasis on the superiority of an alleged Aryan race with innate mystical powers. The Thule Society derived its name from a mythical northern country in Greek legend. Thule was supposedly a land located furthest north. Others have called it Hyperborea. The Thule Society believed, we are told, that an elder race, the Aryans, colonized our Earth, and they were located within the center of our hollow Earth. Admiral Byrd, the military Antarctic explorer, also made reference to a hollow Earth with an entrance at the North Pole. The Thule Society also believed that the Black Sun was a big ball of primer materia that existed in the center of the Earth and emanated radiation in the form of real energy. This energy has many names. Some have called it Chi, astral light, odic forces, or orgone. In 19...
Yeah, I don't think I buy any of that, but I do like the astral light term. I think that plays in nicely with where I would probably put it.
1933, the main
Argonne.
architect of the event,
Yeah,
known as the
I don't know about
Holocaust,
Argonne.
Heinrich Himmler, acquired Wavelsberg Castle, a wonderful piece of old world infrastructure and technology. He supposedly
This is what you were
remodeled the
talking about, Clay.
castle, and in doing so imprinted the symbol of the Black Sun
it had a
into the
shape.
marble floor of what came to be known as the General's
Must be
Hall.
Tartarian.
Much of what has surfaced
Don't be
regarding
goofy.
the German
Don't be
secret
goofy, Tim.
societies
Magic
before
Star Force
and
and
during
shit.
the
Get out of
Nazi
here. That shit.
regime is deliberate misinformation, carefully controlled with the sole intention of distraction and demonization. The misinformation regarding these societies has served to further fuel the UFO and alien agenda. The controllers of our realm had to appropriate the swastika and eradicate its symbolic association with the Earth's central electromagnetic and physical vortex. If the notion of this seems absurd and far-fetched, just remember that the majority of the world's population have already accepted that there is some kind of dark sphere beneath them, acting as a source of our world's electromagnetic energy.
I remember watching this and going, oh man,
Heliocentrism
oh that's so right.
has convinced so many that inside their little blue ball hoax, there exists a spherical core of solid iron at a temperature of over 5,000 degrees. Their own black sun. Interestingly, they never represent this iron core with the metal's usual black or dark grey colour associations in their illustrations, despite telling us it is a crystalline sphere of solid iron. What is important now, however, is that not only have we another instance of the concept of a black core at the centre of our realm, and another reference to a central vortex and opening, but we also have reference to energy, or what the Thule Society called vril, radiating out of this opening. And if this is truly the case, then we have a theoretical model in which both the formation of the sun and moon makes complete sense. Things may not make sense at first, but by the end it will. Let's start with the realm and the firmament.
So this is,
and then a central opening,
like the foundation of what we have to model.
Let's incorporate
right? This is what
our
I think.
known world, as outlined on the moon by Sturgios. And finally, let's add the source, or electromagnetic coil beneath. Whether a magnetic rock or an electromagnetic coil, the source of our world's magnetic field is located at the center and beneath, and any source of intense electromagnetism would produce strong radiation. No one can say indefinitely, but it is highly likely that the concentrated plasma that we call the moon is a result of a unique form of radiation, similar to X-rays, that emanate from this source via an opening or vortex. X-rays, or very strong radiation beams, would, by the laws of physics, emanate from this central vortex in diverging straight lines. Like X-rays, they would also be invisible. The divergent beams would continue up until coming into contact with the firmament itself. X-ray beams differ from light beams and do not tend to reflect. X-rays are like a super powerful form of light, and because their wavelengths are shorter than ordinary light's wavelengths, it means their frequency is much higher. Because of this, X-rays can travel through objects that ordinary light cannot, and it means that X-rays are not reflected easily. There are not many materials that reflect, scatter, refract, or redirect X-rays. And while I'm not strictly saying that X-rays are the cause, any form of strong radiation beams would behave similarly. There do exist some materials that can reflect high energy rays, and it was a man named Lawrence Bragg in 1913 that discovered that crystalline structures reflect X-rays. That's right, crystalline structures, a crystalline firmament. Bragg reflection is used, for example, to focus monochromatic light, and there is a device called a monochromator that uses curved crystal mirrors to reflect X-rays to focus monochromatic light. Standard monochromators use a prism to break down the light. This is a very familiar image, and Wikipedia displays it for everyone to see. It is now associated with an infamous music album. What is the title of that album? They are telling us. This means we're right on track. Radiation beams reflected off of the crystal firmament would likely be redirected down, off-center, and into the ionosphere above our heads. The same ionosphere in which the ethereal electromagnetic energy was harvested from. It is here that the beams would converge and concentrate and generate the plasma phenomenon we call the moon. If the moon is a point of focused, condensed plasma, then it has to occur within one of the layers in the ionosphere above us. All the various inert noble gases in our ionosphere appear at differing layers and altitudes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm 100% agree with this one, but it is a neat coincidence that the colors line up.
Magnetism to form the plasma sky. At a certain altitude in the ionosphere, there are 2 layers of neon and helium gas. It is likely that the sun forms in a similar fashion within these layers. After all, helium is linguistically very similar to Helios. It is likely, however, that the moon is formed at the level of altitude
It's all
in which
about
the
pressure
gas
mediation.
krypton is present.
Exactly.
Krypton is known for its phosphorescent white light. It is also used to create non-thermal or cold plasma, as demonstrated by contemporary scientists developing this field today. The primary reason that the moon's light is cold and not hot like the sun's is not known, but it is likely due to a polarity produced by their interaction with our electromagnetic field in the ionosphere, the moon being the dielectric negative polarity to the sun's positive charge. The craters seen on the moon are likely from the generation of this plasma. Perhaps it is some kind of plasma emulsion that displays a kind of outgassing or bubbling, much like we see with urethane paint defects. Recently, bizarre theories have emerged that we live within one of these craters on the moon.
But this is not correct.
The moon is some kind of phosphorescent, concentrated plasma and not a solid object. You can see the formation of this plasma and its craters right here. It is not solid, it is a light. And this is great because we have a very realistic and working model as to how the moon is formed. And this is so important. They tell us that our magnetic North Pole is separate from what they call true geographic north. Our magnetic North Pole is moving. How can that be? Is that just another one of their lies? No, it is not. It is a half-truth. They tell us over the course of a century, the magnetic North Pole has moved from its location just above Canada to near Greenland and is now en route to Siberia. It is moving fast. Why? The symbol of the swastika and the black sun offer some clues as to why. For years now, flat earthers have come to see the magnetic North Pole and geographic North Pole as synonymous, but they are not. As you know, the swastika symbolizes the vortex, but the black sun takes its symbolic message further. The central core circle here represents the iron core, the black sun.
That's what I was talking about earlier,
Clay.
Clay.
Mercator called the Rupes Nigra. But look closer.
It's actually like
there
two
is another
symbols.
ring outside of the central core. Remember, the black sun is the energetic core inside of the vortex. And remember also that in the heliocentric model, they acknowledge that the Earth's core is a solid iron sphere, but there also exists an outer core of molten iron liquid. They also tell us that this liquid outer core is responsible for producing our moving magnetic field and poles. This is why the pole is moving, because the magnetic field is not emanating from the solid core, but from a volatile outer core. This is what the second circle here represents. And like everything heliocentric related, all you need to do is apply common sense and flatten the curve, and things start to make sense. There is not a spherical outer core, but some kind of electromagnetic coil, perhaps even made of molten iron, surrounding the central solid core.
Crazy speculation.
At the core, we have a vortex opening,
But that's
but
pretty
the
spot
actual
on.
volatile energetic source is beneath.
Huh?
The central core
It's
is
facts.
akin to a
Facts.
central clock.
You are non-facts
It's
then.
solid and remains fixed, and everything else moves around it. but it is also the keystone responsible for this entire movement. Everything surrounding our world moves. The stars above move, the sun and the moon, and the electromagnetic outer core under us, and all the while the land itself and central solid core remain stationary. And not only does this outer core move and take our magnetic North Pole with it, but it is highly likely that it moves in accordance with the precession of the equinox.
So yeah, this
in
is
time with the stars above as they move from their fixed.
This is interesting, right? This part is super interesting.
Move
But
30 degrees
yeah,
in the realm
it
of
claims
circumference
that we would need thousands and thousands of years to verify any of this, right?
The North Magnetic Pole is slowly moving,
Of course.
and
that's
it is as
always the
natural
Like
as the sun
like
moves
24,000
its
years we
journey
would need
above
to
us.
do one of these.
And this
like
is why
circles,
the symbol
so-
of the black sun is a 12-spoked wheel. Each spoke represents a fixed constellation of the zodiac. Each section is an individual age.
So yeah, so the next part, I think I used Weiss's app, and I did exactly what it was showing me. I put the stars, I did the sun and the moon, and I overlaid this exact symbol. And you'll see that like it matches the zodiacs perfectly, and it actually these swastika signs like pointed to one direction has to imitate the direction of the stars, and it never wavers. And I thought that was super interesting.
Indeed.
All right, so there's the zodiacs. It's also good to see the speed of the sun and the moon relative to the stars. Yeah, see, it always goes in that direction, and you see it equal cuts it off. No matter where you put it, it lines up perfectly. Indicates the motion and the 12 zodiacs.
So good.
And there's never any parallax. There's never any parallax.
If the watchmaker wanted to count how many times it went around, it's beautiful, man.
Right, and I love the color. But like, so I sped it up. I started clicking like through months, and you can see how the sun jumps to a new constellation or a little bit. It appears to do so. I think I go through a couple years. I'm already in 23, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, like, you know, and you can see what the relative motion of the sun and the moon is to the zodiac. And I thought that's a really cool aspect of the app, because nothing else really paints that picture.
At the beginning of the
And then
video, he
this.
shows a CD or a
This
disc.
is like the famous one, right? This
He
is the
immediately
debut, I
draws
called
the
it.
geometric shape of an
The
oblate
first time
sphere.
anyone ever recorded this model, this idea. Everyone said this guy was a Freemason. They called it the Freemasonic flat Earth model, right?
We can see how he separates the oblate spheroid with a disc that has a hole in the center.
I mean, we can kind of talk over this. This is just the robot guy, but I did add a whole bunch of visuals like this one popping up.
Robot narrator, whoever it was, it didn't have the courage to use their own voice.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
Then, below, he
I
draws
get
a
it.
circle with a swastika inside and immediately paints it completely black.
See, why would you have to draw a swastika first? I don't get it. It's funny though.
Yeah, apparently this one's kind of old. This is like 2017, but I only saw this maybe like a year and a half
You
ago.
gotta make people hate on it.
Me too.
You have to start with this design that
Right,
everybody
well,
hates.
and here's a nice overlay that I found to show, like, within this, like, so when you do, like, when Winston talks about,
This black circle
you
rays come
know,
out in
the
3 ways
geometry,
through the hole in the center.
how it's a conjugate geometric expression, if you took this out in the top, you'd have the full, like, with this, the toroidal field and the hyperbolic thing it would leave together form this circle, right? And all the motions that he's always talking
Below,
about,
he writes,
centrifugal divergence, centripetal convergence, all like right there. This is a wonderful imagery to show you exactly what those concepts mean, right? And how they affect toroidal, and what they like really describe toroidal fields and vortex and torsion on the ether.
You're looking at Ptolemy's model right there. You're looking at it.
That's actually the RCA logo from a while back, which they like to put some shit like,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
stealing it.
Well, Look at, they put like a dielectric plane in it. I mean,
And above this hole inside what would be the
it's always
celestial
right in your
bulb,
face.
He draws a star, the polar star or Polaris.
So I do think that like the relationship is the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine, and then I think that Polaris is masculine and the black sun is feminine. So those are the relationships. Here's a nice image of what the dielectric plane looks like with the top toroidal and bottom toroidal halves from primer fields. One of the better explanations of this magnetic effect that he definitely kind of broached.
He draws 2 lines that
Like as soon as he made that video, this model made sense. So that's an important video everyone should watch. Primer fields. Everyone Google primer fields. This is also one from the German map showing the same thing, and one from my German friend showing the same thing. Same sort of model with oscillation behind it.
2 of the rays coming out of the black sun and also forms a triangle, but vice versa.
For the action of the magnet or the medium that has to take through. Like, are you the mirror?
And he writes,
like,
as above, so
like the
below.
thing that hits something,
it's one of the 7
has to be a
principles
reflective
of
thing.
Hermes
Like it hits it,
Trismegistus.
bounces off, right?
It appears on the
Everything
emerald
else has to be
tablet and
something
then
that
in
it
the
goes
Kabbalion.
through. So like, it goes through a medium, but is that the light itself?
Well, dude, so if you picture like a coil below it, a coil coiled up, as it would go up the coil, it would oscillate around and do like a little circle, and that's the kind of the oscillation of the movement that we're talking about here. And I have these wonderful pictures that I threw up because I took the model that he's drawing and I took the Masonic square and compass and I inverted it and wrote, as above, so below, because I'm a huge proponent and believer of this is one of the many meanings of that phrase and one of the more poignant ones.
You know what I find interesting about us human beings?
He erases the intersections and draws the sun and moon.
Shape.
In the bottom left, right? There's a toroidal field, just a regular toroidal pattern that I found that I put over the earth. And if you look at it top down, it literally forms the black sun like logo. It's in the natural form of the magnetic field. It forms that logo almost perfectly. It's kind of crazy. We'll see it better later, but I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
You know what's crazy? I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy when you look at the human eye, and then you look at this as a perspective.
And he makes a gesture of rotation.
Yeah, but does the human eye form it itself into form of itself without resistance? Like, body.
He draws 2 arrows to show the distance of the moon and the sun.
Like,
I mean, with the human.
We're saying they have a shape, a toroidal field.
Both are 3,300 miles or 5,310 kilometers away.
Explode and you don't hold it back, it wouldn't have a shape.
So what I find interesting with the human eye is that you have a hole where you literally have 2 holes in each eye. You have 1 hole for each eye, and that's the black hole. The black hole is literally where everything regarding the imagery you would ever see in your life, like everything that you have ever seen,
like one eye
goes through a black hole.
And then if I open both, I see a wave.
Yeah, I'm just saying everything you see in life goes through a black
the
hole.
same with a diameter of 32 miles or 51 kilometers.
Double slit experiment everywhere you go. If you close one, that's one hole the light goes through. So that's just a particle, or you know what I mean?
I'm just saying if it's one or both, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying everything the reason why you see is because something goes into that black hole.
So you say.
The reason you see is because light can't escape a black hole. Is that what you said?
He draws continents
No,
on the
I'm
surface
just saying
and on the other
everything
side as well.
regarding imagery in your life is going through a black hole.
So you mean black pulls in is the magnetic negative to pull in energy, to absorb, to take in, to emit. Do you know it also repels and radiates and ricochets and reflects as well?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
He points both sides and writes, same.
I'm just simply saying that your pupils.
Below he writes
black,
Summerland.
And then that black hole, the light goes in. What?
You guys are fine. Like I said, there's nothing we need to listen to right here. It's just kind of the visual. This is definitely the first time I think that I can trace this model to forming. And then people say that it's like a misinformation plan, but I think it's like, you know, two truths and a lie, like always.
Northern Lights.
And that's the discernment you got to use, right? Like, Northern Lights. He literally says Northern Lights because of the black sun. The black sun creates Northern Lights, and that's kind of what I was kind of alluding to at the beginning, because we don't really know. Like, we know everything about the heliocentric model is wrong. What they say is wrong, but they do draw on truth, right? They scatter nuggets of truth. So when they say it's the magnetic field, I think that's true. From the from a spheroid and the way they draw it, absolutely not. I think it's like the remnant of like God's cosmic energy, which is the force that holds everything together, because everything is electromagnetic and everything is electrostatic. So if God's creating that, then literally electrostatics is the ether in stress to hold everything together, which creates matter and holds the molecules together, which is the force of everything. So I think it's beautiful. It kind of all ties together. I think the next one is just Vibes of Cosmos. They're a wonderful model with some imagery from me. But I think we'll read it because it's got a lot of text. The Vibes of Cosmos model, I think, is the only one that has a non-physical sun and moon, which is what I believe. And also it kind of explains eclipses and moon phases.
The sun doesn't light up the moon. Who does it is the black sun.
Did that just say that the black sun lights up the moon? Or is it
Yeah.
the sun? The black sun lights it up.
Yeah, so I kind of think the black sun is the source of everything. I think the moon and sun are like source projections of whatever energy creates the black sun. I think everything is. I think it ricochets from Polaris down and like cascades and creates the luminaries as we know them. That's what I think. And this is Vibes of Cosmos showing the same thing.
If you look at the moon rocking across the sky, it will rotate, but it's like a wheel. So that's based on your stationary perspective of looking at a reflection of something.
Well, so here's
That's how the math works out.
here's the Vibes of Cosmos description of it, but I don't think they read it, so I'll read it. I'll just keep the music on low. It says, below the surface of the earth there's the black sun that is responsible for the creation of the sun and the moon. Polar lights from the black sun below come from a big hole in the center in the magnetic north that used to be called Hyperborea. And they have it in this oscillating pattern of tricircles below. That's a sort of a different representation of the coil thing I was explaining earlier. It says the black sun is moving below in a coil motion, creating an electromagnetic field with direction from below to above. Its motion center is magnetic north. Polaris is fixed and up from magnetic north. On the top of the ceiling of our toroidal field, black sun's electromagnetic field creates the stars as reflections of the great depths and energy spots of Earth. I thought that was the coolest thing for an explanation of the stars.
There you go.
Right? Polaris is fixed. Black sun's electromagnetic field creates the stars as reflections of the great depths and energy spots of Earth. I have no idea how to prove that, but I think that's a wonderfully poetic way to describe what the stars are. And it says the center of Earth is not the center of the magnetic field center, just like the real constellation circle. So that's also confirming or going along with what Iwarnon was saying about it. And it says the diameter of the black sun's motion is changing, and that makes all the electromagnetic field dynamic. So it's going around and around and up and down. And that's probably what drives the seasons of the sun. If the sun changes speed and actually raises and lowers in altitude between the seasons, this is marked and known and, not really disputed. And this is the way to sort of explain that with a non-physical sun and moon, which again is definitely what I think. So this is a nice...
Speaking to your reflectionary observation is, how do you see half of the moon in the clear blue sky? Why is it not black? If it's an actual object, shouldn't that part that you can't see, shouldn't it be black because it's shadowed by its own blocking of the light? But in fact, if you look at the moon tracking across the sky every 28 days during the day, why is the other part of it not black?
Yeah, because it's not physically there. Yeah, it's not physically there, I think.
It's a reflection. That's what I'm speaking to right there.
So it says, on our toroidal ceiling at the place where Polaris happens, it's kind of a rough translation, they don't speak English, there is a reverse direction refraction of the cosmic energy that comes from the black sun. The refraction separates the cosmic energy to positive energy that creates the sun and to negative that creates the moon below where the refracted energies are focusing.
That makes more sense.
So that's the only way I would know how to explain it, because, well, as we see, when you get like destructive interference, it should wipe them both out, but because you get a special type of destructive interference, you only get the positive wiped out, right? So wipes out the moon whenever it interferes with the sun and the moon, only the moon gets wiped out. So like it says, the positive refraction of cosmic energy works like a limit to the negative refraction when these refractions are close. Because of this, we have the phases of the moon. That's why there's a rotation with the constellation difference between the sun and the moon's phases. And here, if you can see it, is the regular toroidal field tilted top down, and I just kind of put it over flat Earth to give you a semblance, but it's gonna pop up and show the black sun logo exactly right in the middle of this supposedly natural created magnetic field pattern. See if you can spot it, and if you don't, I think I put an outline soon. Oh yeah, there it is.
I can't see it.
I was like, shit, I missed it. All right, so there it is. I think it goes one more time without the thing. There it is. That's crazy. So this is describing again. It says when the conical-shaped refraction that creates the sun, positive, is on the same constellation as the refraction that creates the moon, negative, the first one neutralizes the second. Map. Yeah, this is definitely this is from Vibes of Cosmos. This is their moon map.
Oh, so you pulled this from his YouTube, and he has a black sun in his model as well, or?
Yeah, he definitely describes the very same model that I like. Yeah, he's one of the first ones, and actually he's probably gonna see this because he's on Odyssey, and he keeps hitting me for using his stuff. So I put your stuff in the links already, Vibes of Cosmos. If you're listening, thanks, bud.
Both the sun and the moon are reflections of the black sun.
I would say source projections, not reflections. Reflections, I would say that, yeah.
It's based on your perspective, how you're measuring.
Well, the sun is definitely unique to each observer. Every crepuscular ray is unique to each observer. Yeah. Magnetic Flat Earth did that experiment where they took the azimuth angle and the elevation for every day for a year, and then they plotted it out, and they got one different view for each day they took it for each observation. So literally it's personal to the observer, and I think that proves it. But this would also indicate that it's exactly personal to the observer, right? And it says,
but how can you have a reflection of one thing that now creates, by reflecting itself, creates two things that are opposed to each other and in different locations?
Well, yeah, so if you have this beam of whatever cosmic astral energy coming up from the middle that creates the force of electromagnetism coming up through Polaris, it's doing some sort of refraction off the type of the firmament, whether it be crystal or condensed or layers of metal, whatever the hell it is. And because we don't know what that reaction is, that's what's diffracting it into positive and negative. And like I said, Clay, it's total speculation, right? I'm not even sure that I have the science to back that up, how that would work, but it makes sense to me.
But what if there's like clouds between it?
I think, well, like X-rays and shit go through clouds, right? It kind of goes through most stuff except whatever maybe the crystalline firmament is. And it says because of this dynamic refraction, every day there's a different position between these conical shape refractions, and in this way creates the moon phases. So that's why you get the conical like intercedence you get when you get a moon phase. The thumbnail, the half, all the way. It says when there's refractions are opposite, right? There is no neutralization. So when it says further away from the sun, and it's the only case when you have the full moon. And as the sun's refraction gets closer again, we have the rest of the moon's phases, still the new moon.
That'd be interesting.
I'm gonna go like Plato. This is like Plato and the mirror and the perspective, the whole thing, projection. It all comes down to projection. Who's the projector? Is it random? It doesn't look like it to me. This looks like some very intricately designed projector.
Yo, like, I didn't know Vibes of the Cosmos had this type of shit. This is incredible.
Yeah, they're really good. So they definitely have this in the music, and I added like some toroidal overlays is all I did to make it look cool. But yeah, this is one of the first models that I saw, and I went, that makes sense to me. That's a one that I can, unify with my kind of suspicion that they're not physical objects, the sun and the moon. So then how do you have like, moon phases? If they're not physical, what's happening to like one thing, right? That was a huge problem for me. So this is an explanation that kind of ties it together. Even though, like, admittedly, it's a little bit out there. I mean, I get it.
And this model fits exactly with scripture 100%.
Interesting.
So it says that the angle of incidence gets smaller. We have the first quarter moon, and in this case, the sun's conical refraction hides half the moon's refraction from the left. And if we're on the northern path of the moon's or the right, if we're southern, when the axis of the moon's faces Y is vertical to the right. And that's a really shitty description, I think, for him. But it really just says when the angle of intercedence is conical like that, then you get a 3/4, a half, and a quarter, depending on how much of the white obscures the yellow, if you know what I mean. So whenever they intercede, the moon is affected and not the sun, because it's a type of interference called destructive interference. Right? You know how the stars, we would say, are sonoluminescent? That's a type of constructive interference. That's what sonoluminescence is, constructive interference. So in destructive interference would be when something is created new, like one is wiped out completely. And again, that sort of makes sense to me too, even though it's kind of sciencey and out there. But yeah, man, Vibes of Cosmos is on Odyssey now. Everyone should go follow him. he's been in my comments because I use his stuff all the time, and I guess I didn't cite his stuff, so I made sure I put it in all the stuff that I used, and I definitely put it in today's stuff. So thanks, bud, or buddies.
Yo, Vibe. Yeah, this shit that Vibes of this shit, man. This is incredible.
Yeah, like I said, it's the only theory with a non-physical sun and moon that explains moon phases of all this stuff. Here's a nice another representation of the same thing, except I think it's misleading, right? Because it has the Helios as masculine as the sun, and the black hole as the feminine to that. And like I said before, it's the feminine to the to Polaris, which is which they call the astral jet there, not the sun and the moon. And this is a wonderful meme that I found that really explains it. But we'll go over that a little bit later. This is pretty much that toroidal field over the flat Earth and what it would look like. And if you look at where the sun and the moon track, it's literally right in the toroidal flip zone, right in the inversion zone that creates what is the tropics. Sure, that's coincidental.
There's no such thing as coincidence when you're paying attention.
So again, what do we think the Northern Lights are? I think I started by saying, what are the Northern Lights really? And I think when you have to think about what it really is and what it represents, it's kind of mystifying. If as according to Genesis, right, the light was created before the luminaries, that doesn't make any sense. I think I put some Bible overtones here, so if we could listen up here.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day.
Right. So how do you have light before the luminaries? I think you create the black sun, the source of light, and then you create the refractions or products of that light being refracted off the firmament. And again, always green electromagnetism, green the beginning of the rainbow, green the inversion point, green electromagnetism. I think it's also which chakra is that?
The heart.
Heart chakra.
It's also the middle of the color spectrum, as you said. Roy Gibbet, red, orange, yellow, green.
Man, so this one says, this is pretty much a meme of everything summed up. It says, historically referred to as the black sun or smoky god, all life on Earth requires electromagnetism to live. As we know, everything is inherently electrostatic, right? It bubbles up out of the ground in the north, and it allows electromagnetism to directly enter our realm. The aurora borealis, or northern lights, is the beam of EM rising, is what they put. I like to say it's like, God's astral jet flickering around, and it literally mimics the toroidal path of the magnetic force, which sustains everything in this realm. And it's the upward beam of the EM smashed into the dome, bounces down, and spreads out. And at that point, to me, literally creates the luminaries, creates the sun and the moon, creates the stars, creates all the, the other planets and stuff. What do you guys think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Dude, spot on, man.
It was really good. I wrote down some notes too. That I want to talk to you about. I like, bring.
Here's some cool visuals to the same stuff that I just threw together, I think, to be cool. Sort of explaining what we're going on. If we can want to fire away, we can have this going up.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
That's why RCA started radio astrology. You have to know what the sun's doing. The planets tell you what the sun's doing.
What's up, Blaze?
You know the
because something is stationary. No matter what, there's something stationary when these depictions are presented.
I think this is some of the coolest shit I've seen. I think these two go really well together. I did a whole bunch of overlays. But yeah, centripetal convergence, centrifugal divergence, as Whitsitt says over and over and over again. Conjugate geometric expression, right? And this is it. So if you say we live in a sphere, sure. Look at that perfect sphere with the conjugate geometric expression separating the toroidal field and everything and the magnetism, and then the shape that was left to be needed to complete the sphere would be the hyperbolic, right?
Yeah, you've got the
Black lights matter. Thank you very much.
you got the black hole sun, the day one creation, the original light. On the second day, the firmament was created. On the third day, the land showed up. And on the fourth day, the celestial bodies were put into the firmament.
Right? So they had the main, he created light before the luminaries, before sun and the moon, before everything. There was light. So we could say the black sun is whatever the source of all light is. And since we're also saying that light is just, electromagnetic radiation, because everything is electromagnetism. And then if everything is like literally all electromagnetism comes up from the north in this great astral jet and, permeates everything around, creates the toroidal field, creates the sun and the moon, has the inversion zone in the tropics, extends out to the south. I mean, it's beautiful.
I guess the trick they're working on is how to present something that's firm, like the firmament, and also in motion. That's kind of hard.
Well, the firmament doesn't move, but all the stuff within the firmament moves.
Something has to be stationary based on the metrics of the math and what they come up with to measure something.
Yeah,
Unless you think Einstein is the genius of everything.
The ground is stationary and the firmament is stationary.
Yeah, okay, I would agree.
Everything within the system moves. Everything within the firmament moves.
And the ether. Specifically the ether.
Does this tie into the plasma apocalypse theory and the chokehold ring or whatever?
Plasma apocalypse.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It could, though. I mean, I'm not really a big proponent of that one. Plasma apocalypse.
Yeah.
But maybe.
The creator wouldn't have a plasma apocalypse. He doesn't go get down like that.
What do you think, Skeptical Tim? What do you think about the Black Sun model?
I mean, it's what it is. We have spoken about this before, and I'm kind of tired, so I just sit here in the background. Thanks.
Dude, this shit is kind of nuts.
So here's another toroidal model I threw together with a nice overlay to make it work, right? You can envision the dielectric plane that we all keep talking about. And then this toroidal motion kind of overlaying it kind of makes sense. Like the paths out to the south, you know, diverge and converge relatively. So you have what magnetic lines, the magnetic declination lines. If you've ever looked at what the magnetic field lines look like, it's a lot like this, guys. It looks a lot like this.
You're gonna have to forgive me, but I gotta do this. Black hole sun, oh, won't you tell? Wash away rain, black hole sun. Sorry, man, I had to do it.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. I would have done it, but you did it first.
So does anyone like disagree that light is electromagnetic radiation? So when God says let there be light, what do we think that means? Let there be the source of all electromagnetic radiation that thus, like, you know, appears as illumination. I mean, I think that's great.
Is the
Yeah, I think
projector stationary? That's the question. If that is the case, then is the projector stationary? That's what they will always argue.
I like the idea because it puts forward the idea that light is instantaneous. It doesn't have to travel anywhere.
Exactly, right? So when you describe things like light speed, I don't disagree that there is a rate of illumination that you can quantify and record, and I don't disagree that that convention is therefore useful. Like, but I wouldn't say that it travels. I say that you're quantifying the rate of the perception of its illumination, and that only difference is that you're saying that it isn't there, right? As Witsit says, if you hold a string across the room and you waggle the string, the wave of motion will reach the other room, but it didn't, you know, it was there the whole time. It didn't have to travel. You're quantifying the rate at which it takes that motion to arrive. But that's a little bit crazy.
Einstein says you're moving, and other people say no, we're stationary. It's the same math, but they keep arguing.
Well, I mean, if light doesn't travel, then there is no light speed for them. Then there is no distance to stars. There is no light year. There is no metric based on that. There is no perceivable universe. Everything that their model is based on just blows up and implodes. That's why I keep trying to attack it.
Yeah, the magnetic field would be the preferred reference frame, so it would destroy general and special relativity.
Yep. And it does regularly. This is great.
It has.
Actually, that's probably why they've hidden it, because part of their proof for general relativity is that they've kind of tricked people into thinking that there's no physical mechanism to produce the redshift that they claim is proof of it, and like as I demonstrated with the Ken Wheeler stuff to you, Shane, you know, it's definitely like a magnetic effect, like in that regard. Like you can produce it with that same stuff. So it just makes sense that by telling people that there's not a magnetic field there and it must be caused by something else, that's how they've gotten away with it.
Well, I mean, maybe we should look at the magnetic field real quick. I like bobwins.com here. Let's find that.
Yeah, that's profound.
Right.
Like even their time dilation effects could be explained by electromagnetic retardation. So.
Electromagnetic retardation. I fucking love it.
Yeah. You've never heard of that?
That's awesome. No,
yeah,
I've never heard of that.
That's what causes the redshift in light when light's traveling through a magnetic field. That's
sure.
The wavelengths are being retarded. They're being shortened. So that's what's causing the shift. Like that's what and then they call that time dilation in mathematic land.
Yeah, they call it a lot of stuff.
Right, so I mean, like, here's the magnetic field lines on the AE map, that flat Earth map. Literally, like, in the center, you have the counter space. There is nothing there, right? There is nothing. There is no magnetic field lines there, which is the strangest thing. On this bipolar sphere, it should be identical below, with almost little exception, within margin of error. But we have this counterspatial thing in the middle. We have the rotating vortex beyond. We have the actual cyclone. We have at the end we have this 70% as strong, so 30% weaker southern magnetic field, just kind of going outward, right? And if you translate this to the globe, it I mean it's a literal like translation. So we look at the tops, no disagreements here. This is what I argue the top should look like, no problem. And you get to the bottom of this bipolar sphere, and you have this completely inverted, totally different, non-dynamic, unexplainable fucking magnetic southern pole that looks nothing like what it should. Looks nothing like the top. It looks nothing like a mid rotation. If anything, there's this counterspatial portion which is not in the same, which means the South Pole should be somewhere off the coast of Brazil, I guess. Would be where it is, but like, so they have this bipolar thing and this magnetic field circling around, but really if you look at it, it's just the outer portion of the AE map condensed into a sphere forcefully, in my opinion. Right, it makes perfect sense on flat Earth, makes no sense on the freaking globe. I love it.
Up north, it's all perfectly aligned, just like we see in time-elapsed photography. But down south, it gets all weird and crazy. It's like, wait, what?
So, I screenshotted a bunch of stuff. So the elite are mimicking and professing a black sun. And so I guess what was coming up for me when you were saying that is, the adversary, whomever, whatever, the spirit or whatever it is, it seems like, could he be deceiving his people as well? Because, there's some kind of big lake of fire, right? So that's bright. I don't think that's going to illuminate the sun and the moon.
I'm just looking at mechanics and like what people want to say. Like, at the beginning of this, some guy was saying, "Oh, it's a satanic worshiping, blah blah blah." When this symbol is around, we're all like, "No, dude, we're just looking at the symbols. We're just looking at the math here."
Well, so you said that they're fooling. I mean, like, so right here, this image that I'm showing, I think this is a part of the potential deception and manipulation, because they deify the inversion, as Witsit says, right? So if everything revolves around Polaris, I think Polaris is more significant than the sun or the moon, really. I think that's just, it marks the focal point. So if there is an inversion to that, then it's the black sun. To us, to me, personally, it's just, the source of God's cosmic astral energy coming into the world. Nothing negative or satanic or evil about it. And to them, they would say, okay, well, if Polaris is the source, then we'll invert it and we'll worship, this thing called the black sun, and we'll deify that. And that's kind of where I think the occulting comes in.
Right, and I agree with you with the North Star and Ursa Majors, but nobody ever, you said something, and I think I screenshotted it at this one point. It was like towards the end. It was where it went reverse, because I don't really hear many people say that Ursa Majors, it goes counterclockwise, right? So the other stars go clockwise, correct? But Ursa Major and Ursa Minor revolve counterclockwise every 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.09 seconds. Every day. You can actually look at that yourself. Apocryphon, I had him do it.
We threw the clock out the window. What if we threw the clock out?
Come on, Flack.
Still looked at it. Okay, I'm sorry. No,
Well,
I love
you-
you guys. I'm just genuinely confused.
It's all right. Let her get through a thing though.
No, that's okay. So I have a star app, and when I heard this guy that I'm learning the Hebrew calendar or the biblical calendar,
Out of
say-
curiosity, I haven't done it yet, but what happens if you reverse?
Really?
Oh my
really,
God,
kid?
let her talk.
Really, kid?
Sorry.
excuse me. When I heard him say that Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, well, he only says Ursa Major, right? Nobody ever really talks about Ursa Minor doing the same thing.
That's a good point.
And when he said reverse, I was like, in the opposite direction, I was like, how is that not an amazing fixed and immovable flat Earth proof. You know, I mean, how do the Globies explain that part? But then also the way that I was just listening to a study today that the position of Ursa Majors, the handle, it's supposed to be shaped like a shepherd's, you know, how they would herd the sheep, you know, it had that little hook on it, and that points at wherever it is in a particular season. That's how you know it's either, you know, winter, spring, summer, or fall. And but I think that the counterclockwise is really interesting. But also, I mean, do you want me to stop now? Because I have just a couple more things.
No, go ahead.
Because also in Enoch, I said 7 portals the other day. It's 6 portals. And the sun goes into the portals. Like the portal, let me see what I got here. The portal, where is it? Here, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, and you said something about the stars too. So let me just get with this. There's 6 portals, but the Enoch is suggesting that the sun goes into 6 of them, but 4 of them are divided into the seasons. Yeah. Right. But see, nobody ever has the Little Dipper, right? So it's also the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. That took me a little while to look at that too, and how I could tell it was going counterclockwise is I took my star app and I screenshotted it. You know, like every 3 hours, I was like, "Holy cow! It is going the opposite direction."
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. That's a great proof for us because
isn't it though? I mean,
they have to go the same direction for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they literally shit their pants over what is it? Stellar parallax. They completely deny it and you know, record it fraudulently just to avoid it. But like literally, the fucking thing that the thing that points to the North Star just does the opposite of what they claim, dude. That's great, dude. Thank you, Blaze. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. Seriously, open your star app and then do a screenshot right now over the North Star, and you'll see the Big Dipper, right? And then a little bit in there, obviously, is the Little Dipper, Ursa Majors, right? I try to say that because that's the bear. It's biblical. But also the scriptures where it says there was darkness. It's let me see what it says here, because what I do believe is I believe that they would take and invert everything, but you know, it also talks about in the Bible how, you know, cast him out. This guy snuck into the wedding. He didn't have the proper wedding gear, and you know, he was cast out into the outer darkness. And then the Bible talks about the lake of fire, right? So who our central planners clearly worship, like, you know, entities, whatever it is. All right, I don't know what it is, and everything's inverted. So I'm wondering if that's like the lake of fire. You know, it talks about how the angels are going to be cast into the lake of fire. That was does it say from the beginning of the earth? That was made for them or something. And then, you know, anyways, it talks about people going in it, but they're not burning forever, but the angels that defied Father will be burning forever. But I'm trying to go back to in the Bible where it says in the beginning, it says chusek, whatever. It's a Hebrew word, and it says darkness, obscurity. So then you had me looking over here at let's see, darkness here. For it says, you know, the kingdom they will cast out into outer darkness. And then when you look up that word in Greek, it is oops, I kind of messed up. Let me see. Hold on. Darkness. Oops. And that one is darkness, either physical or moral. So I don't know. I think that the adversary would want to mislead even the people that are following it or that doctrine
Oh,
or
yeah,
that
absolutely.
lie.
Yeah, he
You
would
know, because
never tell
they
them.
don't, they can't create anything new. They just pervert. And I'm not saying that there is no black sun. I'm not saying that at all because I clearly don't know.
No, I agree
Please
with everything you
I
said,
couldn't
Liz.
hear where she was.
They
So
pervert
I'll go back on mute.
everything. You're absolutely right. But I don't think that it's associated with hell, right? Like just because it's below, I think there's a great deal of space below, and I think that like below could be like it really is the as Iwarnon says is probably more closely associated with the center of the concave Earth and like real and like all the energy like that's what was the occult understanding before. So like I would think it's in the center of the flat Earth. Like if it's below, it's very shallow below, and definitely I don't personally associate it with hell or eternal torment or fire or anything, but I could be willfully ignorant.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a lake of fire somewhere. But anyways, one last thing. And you said something about how with the stars. I just learned today, and I was like, "How is this not fire?" That in First Book of Enoch, there are lead stars, right? So every month or every day, there's the moon goes with lead stars in front of the moon, and then there's some with the sun as well. But check this out. Have you ever heard of the summer triangle? It's I know, I didn't either. I just learned that today, and I'm like, how is this not a proof? So how it goes, and I'm almost done. So how it goes is the first day, which is full moon, because they have it that the crescent is a full moon, which that's not what the Bible says. And the first day, which is a full moon of like the fourth Hebrew month, it's called the triangle of the summer triangle, and these three stars travel for 3 months with I guess the moon. It goes before the moon. It's Vega, Deneb, and Altair. Here, I'll post that so you guys can look that up. But yeah, so that's kind of just what I wanted to say. My head was spinning just so it was. I loved it. I loved your presentation. So thank you.
Yeah, that was really cool. Thanks, please.
But look into the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor are going counterclockwise every 23 hours.
Yeah, I sense memes incoming for that particular one, so thanks for that. We'll see what we find.
Okay.
I'm looking at this GIF that Shane's had running for the last 10 minutes. I mean, look at that. You got 3 motions. It's kind of like, what do they call those? The engines and the Mazdas?
Well, so this is what I think of when I'm trying to figure out and remember what Witsit says constantly about centripetal and centrifugal forces, right? And I used to get it mixed up until I thought of this. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. Centrifugal divergent, centripetal convergent, centripetal.
Graphic here?
Well,
this GIF we're looking at?
Well, I mean, I took a couple graphics and I put them.
No, it's choice, dude, because you got the 3 motions there.
Yeah, I put them together. I think that's all I did. But I do think that they're nice.
You have one stationary object. I think that's perspective. The projector, right?
Well, I don't know. I thought like this is a nice. So this is actually the RCA logo from way back when with a little bit of motion in it. They put like the focal point, the motions, the electricity coming up. Yeah.
CBS, I think, has the same
Yeah.
thing, you know? They do the same shit. But
Something-
you got all 3 motions.
Something very similar CBS has, yeah. I mean, I just had this running. Yeah, I made a couple of these. Like I made this one, and then I made the other one that was running, and I made most of the stuff at the end of the video that I put together. Like that's kind of like what I've been doing. Like when I first came to Discord, it was to ask what's it about. Well, is the black sun feasible? Does this work? Do you think it's a source of everything? Is that the source of electromagnetism? Like, you know, what is Mount Meru? Is that this? Is it the same thing? do you think that the sun and the moon are diffractions? Like, I literally like saw the Vibes of Cosmos video. And was like, I gotta ask someone smart if this is true or if I'm a fucking wackadoo, right? So I found Witsit, and he happened to be doing a presentation like in like 3 hours on all the stuff that I wanted to talk to him about, and we were like, exchanging ideas, talking about it. I gave him some of my visuals, and he, used them and improved upon them. So from that point on, I've been kind of on this path of this is what I think it is until proven otherwise, right? Or until I find incongruent evidence that I can't make work with this model. Because at the present, this works with my current understanding of the sun and the moon, eclipses, the phases of the moon, stars, the luminaries, the rotation of the ether, what gravity is and how gravity works, how molecules are bonded, like all of my conceptions of that, how light works, it's all built into this, and it all works with each other. So.
And the best part is the floor plan. Hang on.
The perspective is moving.
Hang on a second. The floor plan is in the sky, i.e. the moon.
For all this to work out, there has to be a stationary perspective for all this math and everything we're looking at just with this GIF. You have to have some stationary point to even have the math work out as it's being presented. Unless you're going to go along with Einstein.
I mean, so there's a lot of representations.
Your YouTube channel, your YouTube presentation got taken down probably because we played Soundgarden to begin with, but
Probably. It's already down, huh?
yeah.
That's interesting.
Somewhere else, I sent it to a friend and she was watching it, and then got taken down too.
When's the last time you were holding a tape measure or a flashlight?
It's on Rumble and it's on Odyssey here.
Yeah, it came back on YouTube.
Oh, it did?
Automatically.
Okay.
Yeah, just how to refresh.
Really? Did it say take it down for copyright and then it
Yeah.
That's nice of them, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty dope, I guess.
They're super nice with this channel. I've gotten like 17 emails saying, we've taken a video down for misinformation. We're not going to give you a strike because you just got a strike. But like, I've literally never got a strike. It just keeps going on. It's weird.
Can I get an audio check from Blaze? Because I don't know if she was talking, but my Discord, I don't know if it's acting up or not. I just want to make sure I'm hearing everybody. Thank you.
I hear you. Sorry to interrupt.
Here's some more crazy toroidal stuff I've been playing with and molding together, right? Like, just for fun while we're at it.
Nice.
You're a madman. So bright.
Yeah, man. This is impressive shit, bro. It's really, really good from what I saw so far. I want to go back and watch the whole thing, of course.
This came because Witsit just popped in one day and said, this is way before he's trying to make a new logo. And he's like, I want something like toroidal. I think you were here because you threw him a bunch. Like, I want something toroidal. And I was just like, nah, I got like 2 or 3 things that are roughly toroidal. Hold on, let me just put them together and see what it fucking looks like. And it was kind of cool. Yeah, I like it. There's also this thing, which I really got to study. The Prague astronomical clock, man. Kind of coincides with Iwaranan and what he was showing. Kind of coincides with the Black Sun and the Great Ages. And it kind of coincides with like a whole bunch of other things. Plus, look at the ecliptic. It predicts the moon phase. It predicts everything.
And the 12, so it's got the 12 alignments for the astrological signs, right? With the 12 doors or windows for the aspects of the sun and the moon to set and rise.
Pinhole photography of the sun. Just because, I guess. Well, that's pretty much all I got, guys.
Nice job.
Great job, man. Thanks for sharing.
It was fun. Thanks, guys.
That was cool, man. Awesome.
Yeah. Well done. Bravo. Bravissimo.
You're a fellow Black Sun, aren't you, Glad?
I'm a fellow Black Sunner. Yep.
Yep. I think it's the current, like, until someone presents a better working idea, like, I'm not gonna, like, people, like, so, I don't know, people have come to me and said the idea for Star shows doesn't work and they can't do it. I'm like, okay, but, like, until you have a better working idea, I don't understand why I wouldn't, like, I don't see anything wrong with it until I see something better.
I hear you.
Are you saying that we always need a replacement?
No, I'm just saying in Shane's mental working model of flat Earth, as I learn and explore this shit, I don't remove a component until I'm forced to, right? Until it breaks down or until I find one that works better. Yo, where's Tribune? Oh, he's not here? I thought I saw him earlier.
Yeah, he was here.
And Noah left too, yeah. Well, that's all good.
How long did it take you to do it?
Okay, so did you ever put the video that I always share about the North Pole vortex video that I think I have?
Yeah, but you just showed the whirlpool at the center of everything?
Yeah, I have supposedly I have video of it. Hang on.
Yeah, I don't know if that fits. I mean, maybe it fits. It kind of fits with tides. But how long did it take me to play? So, I wanted to do it, and I was being lazy, right? So I put it on the schedule as an event to goad myself into starting it and to stop procrastinating. And I put it like 2 weeks out because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And then I woke up one Saturday morning and I was like, oh, here's a cool thing. And 2 hours later, I was done. And I was like, shit, that was quick. All right, I guess I'll make it for like Tuesday.
So like all that suffering, right? Because that's what I'm going through. I have so many things that I want to talk about, or just little things, and it's just like I don't know where to start, and just
yeah, that's why you just start. Like you start anyway. Like if I don't know which first to write. Okay, the first step is to pick up the pen. Okay, now press it to the paper. Okay, now form letters. Ready? Doesn't matter what letters, just go. And once you start, you kind of figure it out. It's kind of the same
Check the
thing.
live stream, the live chat real quick for the video I was talking about. Yeah, New Perspective put a GIF on it too. But, so anyway, since 2015, 2016, this has been the only thing that's survived through all my research that I'm still convinced is genuine footage of something. I'm not sure if it's North Pole or not, but that's
why do you think it's genuine?
on Earth.
Yeah,
What?
why?
Why what?
Why do you think it's
Why
genuine?
are you convinced it's genuine?
I don't know. That's a belief. It's a hunch.
Oh, it wasn't like analysis of the frames or anything.
There's no way I could do that with this piece of shit footage. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because it kind of seems like pieces of shit footage, and there's only one of them. It's
So,
really
like,
sus, but,
I mean,
Yeah, I think Hero did a presentation on faking footage like this. There's like a YouTube channel dedicated to making low quality dog shit stuff like that. So,
Why does it look like?
I would just be weary of that.
Why does it look like it's through a
Like,
foggy
one bottle,
porthole?
We're trying to push it as like something, right?
If you watch the video, it's way more clear than the GIF that's posted.
Oh, I'm
Or,
watching
yeah,
the video.
But even that is like it's like you got to watch it a bunch of times and try to imagine. Okay, well, say this is the center vortex. Let's say this is what we're looking at. Okay, check it out.
Well, I mean, I think it could be like a indirect byproduct of the central vortex. I don't think that's the vortex itself or a direct aspect of the vortex. I think it's probably
and
something.
It could be, I just think it's something on Earth. That's all. That's all I believe.
Huh. Something on Earth, maybe. I mean, like, that map of the North Pole, Hyperborea, with the 4 islands and the convergent little rivers? Yeah, that always sticks in my head, and I think this is what that would look like, or something of the sort. The reason
Well,
that
if you look at it, it's going clockwise, and if you look at the Aurora Borealis, especially if you can see it right, it's spiraling. It's doing a swirl pattern in the sky as if it's coming out of a central focal point.
Well, yeah, but the reason that I don't think it's real is because, like, on the map, it's a huge area, and this looks like a quarter's width of a half a view out a porthole. So it looks like this is really small for the central vortex at the beginning of everything.
You don't know how high they are above this, though. That's the thing.
You think it's like from a plane?
I think it's a high altitude plane that's reinforced to go up very high, yeah, and take footage and stuff to like withstand the elements that are going to be around the North Pole. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting.
Maybe that adds some real to it.
If you had the technology to get up there and at least take a look, not really explore, because who's going down in that fucking lake of fire, right? The Ring of Fire. But to you know you can build something to go up there and maybe take a little peek. And to me, that's what this is.
I guess that would make.
That's a huge share, man. I really appreciate it. It's again, we don't know how authentic it is, but if it is something to be considered, it has a lot of potentialities to consider, i.e., the transition point, right?
Yeah. Also, I admire the balls.
For the sky, sensing black, Sean. Did you say it's in the sky, not like on the ice? You thought?
No, he said it's from the sky. He said it's from the sky.
The hole that they're seeing is kind of in the ice, though, at the North Pole type thing. Is that what you're saying? Hello?
You guys talking to me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking you, what did you say? Because I was just looking for weather. I remember when I was looking through stuff, at one point we were looking at the weather patterns, and there's like a vortex spirally thing going on with the weather right at the North Pole.
Yeah, I mean, if we put all these things together, it's the correlation with swastika, center, black hole sun, engine of creation under this vortex, both sucking in and pushing and going outward, like almost destroying and creating at the same time, almost like an Ouroboros, if you will. That's crazy for me to think about, but it's like all signs point to go on that. The Big Dipper, everything celestial, down to a point, spins the way that we're looking at this thing spinning. And I've never seen anything like that, and I've heard that the engine of creation, something that can help manifest things here, is both killing and giving birth all at once, all the time. So anyway, that's
yeah, right. The toroidal energy, in and out, you're moving in and out. It also reminds me of something that that Ewar included in his what happened on Earth, or one of the two that he did. Lost History of Flat Earth. That I think it was Lost History of Flat Earth Part 7, where he talks about the north being where the waters go into the Earth and then run under the land and then go out to the perimeter and then come back in. And it would make sense if the waters do that in a toroidal fashion as well, right? Where they're constantly being circulated, which would explain the waves, if there is that kind of constant motion with the oceans. And if that is the case, I was also thinking earlier with the all-seeing eye, because your thing, Shane, looked like the eye, the CBS logo, and if it was seeing with SEA instead of a C, SEE, like it's seeing, like it's causing the motions of the sea. It's the eye causing the sea motion, kind of thing.
Yeah, and look, it's the eye. It's Sauron. Look at it. It looks just like Sauron from fucking.
Right.
I'm not kidding.
Plus, dude, I admire someone who bring up an idea who, if I know a room full of people don't believe it and I bring it up. I mean, I'd bring it up anyway because I would, but not many other people would. So Glatt's the fucking man. He loves
I
this.
appreciate it, man. I've been down all these rabbit holes, and so I feel lucky that we can pick it apart as a community here now, because this whole time I've just had this video in my back pocket. Like, what do I do with this? I think it's real. I think this is some shit. I think this is like some gravy ass shit that we're looking at, and never really knew what to do with it. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Even if it's totally fake, this footage, the concept that it's conveying, I still think is sound, and I think it represents like a real phenomenon at the center of our world. That's denoted in mythology and written on cave walls and talked about in scriptures and literally like permeated throughout all the
I'm talking
cultures.
like the gravy. If
Yeah.
like we get so someone comes up and says, "Hey, I made the firmament. Yeah, it's up there." No shit. Yeah, we kind of thought so. Cool. Other thing, North Pole. Check that motherfucker out. It's creating and destroying all at once, all the time. Yeah, it's nuts. Those are the two big boys. Big gravy.
I've been playing it on the stream for 7 loops now, just over and over again. The whirlpool at the center. Look, it's Yggdrasil or whatever.
Well, yeah, you got Shambhala, Agartha, Yggdrasil, Hyperborea.
I don't see the stream. Where is it?
Oh, it was I'm streaming this to YouTube, but I was watching the embedded YouTube that he put in the text chat. Oh, what's up, Tribune? Where'd you go, man? Oh, you're here. You're real.
Yeah, so I was at my slave job, so I was getting home.
Oh.
Got home, showered up, and now here I am.
Yeah, man, we're speculating wildly on the Black Sun.
Absolutely, it's always fun.
If it didn't destroy and create at the same time, let's assume that it didn't do either of those things at all. What would it be? It's still there, but it's not either destroying or creating. But it's there.
Okay, it looks
what
like
would it be?
it looks like a big fire. Looks like a fire with straight lines coming out, which is really weird.
A water
Like
fire.
Something that's
A water
there,
fire.
but whether or not it's destroying or creating, you're not it, are you?
My friend,
But
it's
you know
just
it's there.
speculation. It's just speculation.
Right, I know, I love it.
Oh, okay, good. Then yes, it's. I would like to imagine it's doing something else because honestly, if it's that simple to just destroy and create with the big fire and whatever the hell's happening right there, if it's that simple to get all the intricacies of where we live out of this interaction that we're seeing simply with our eyes, I don't think that's enough for the story.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
It's so simple, guys. All you do is send it your prayers, and it grants you wishes in the form of the Aurora Borealis.
Come on.
You gotta pray to the Vril.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think you spend Vril coins to pray to it, and then it grants you wishes. I think that's probably how it works.
Yeah.
Hey, to get your Vril coins to spend. Timing's everything, though. Sometimes there's double points.
I mean, I do want to say that I've heard that, and I was thinking it was in First Enoch, that God's throne is above that area, above the North Pole. And that's how he looks down at the circle of the earth.
Yeah.
And then I've heard that that's, he has the emerald in his on his throne somehow, some way. And
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna agree. Sorry, that was awful. Go ahead.
No,
you were
we
done.
all do it. But and also Ezekiel, it talks about that his throne. And then when you look at the Maseroth, I'll post it. The Hebrew Maseroth. Let me get back over here. It kind of, who knows, nobody knows anything, but you can just imagine.
Some people know things, please.
Not me. But that's what the Maseroth, and then so I'm learning, which I don't have it down yet, but the first month for the biblical calendar, the moon's going to be ruling with Aries in the first of the month. So Aries is month 1 for the Bible calendar. But anyways, I heard about that triangular summer whatever that was that I posted. I was like, that is really intriguing. How can 3 stars just cruise around for 3 months with the moon, before the moon?
That what you posted is a variation on the Black Sun symbol, right?
No,
12 spokes, 12 zodiacs, 12 the circle, the inner wheel, the big wheel. What do you mean? It's just missing the indent in the halfway.
12 tones of the musical octaves, 12 tones,
Yes, I just don't
A,
see
B,
that
C, D, F, G,
in the
sharps and
Bible.
flats.
You know, and for me, I'm not saying that everybody should do this, but for me, I can only go down so many bunny trails, and I can get lost in the weeds sometimes. So for me, I just try to stay on the narrow path with that. But just for me, yeah. But I mean, this is what's in Ezekiel. This explains. See the wheel. See the entity in the center of that. It's called the Maseroth, and this is actually the words in the Book of Job as well. Can you bring out the Maseroth in their time? I believe it's something like that. And then see, there's a circle around it. There's a couple circles around it, and then that's his throne, right? He sits above the circle of the earth. And Ezekiel's wheel, it's like a wheel within a wheel, and that's what that looks like there a little bit. And then see, he's got the throne up there above his head. And see, this is probably where they get that, sun, the illuminated. And then I was thinking about that too, is, like the New Agers and everything, they seek for enlightenment, right? So for them to seek for enlightenment, there first had to be light. And I believe that Adam and Eve, when they said, hey, he said, you can eat from anything, basically you could do whatever you want, but just don't touch this over here. And when they did, their covering, their light was taken away. That's when they realized they were naked. And so it was appealing, right? The serpent appealed to her ego. She wanted to be like a god. And so she wanted enlightenment like God. I mean, that's the way that I look at it right now. Not that it's the truth, but like people seek enlightenment. But what about seeking the light? Why is it always enlightenment? Like, why isn't it seek the light? I just believe the adversary creates, perverts the existing, because he's not really creative.
Well, the other interpretation I've heard of that, I think it was Michael Bessarian, talks about it possibly being like a race, the Adamic race, and the Adams and the Eves, and that they went into the garden naked, and that they were without knowledge. They were naked in that way, and by eating from the tree of truth and knowledge, they were enlightened.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the reason I'm thinking that, I did a study last week, and then I think I brought it up the other night. In Book of Job, it's when our Creator said, "Hey, check out my servant Job," and Satan was like, Take your covering from him, and I can make him curse you," essentially, right? And the adversary said, "Skin for skin," right? So he wasn't protected because Father took his protection away from him, so he was vulnerable. So he had vulnerable skin, right? He had no protection, no spiritual protection, and then that's when the adversary was able to attack him. Thank goodness Job, didn't fall for it, although he wasn't quite perfect, but he handled himself really well. I mean, like, I stubbed my toe and I'm like, oh my God, like that guy went through a lot. But the skin for skin thing really had me thinking about that. So I was like, that's interesting.
What was the point of that story again for Job?
Remember in the very beginning, doesn't our Creator say, hey, he asks Satan, where have you been? He goes, walking the earth to and fro. And he says, hey, have you noticed my servant, Job? And, basically essentially bragging, but, Satan was like, what's the big deal? You're protecting him. You've got a covering over him. So what's the big deal? And so then he said, take your covering away from him, and then let me see what I can do. You'll really see how he feels about you. And it says skin for skin. When you look at the Hebrew, yeah, you want to go against it. That's okay. Go ahead. What do you got?
No, I want to know what it says in the Hebrew on the skin for skin part.
Well, you could look it up and look at Bible Hub. Let me find it.
I'm not always ready to be adversarial. Sometimes I'm genuinely curious.
Okay.
I come off like an ass. I know.
Hey, no
Well-
worries. Invisible Man's here, so he'll take over. No worries. Kidding. Kidding.
You talking about me?
Yeah, get him.
No.
Oh, who is it?
It was some other invisible man, I bet.
We have some troubling glober in here.
No. Do we have any Globers in here?
Troubling is not a glober, if that's a misconception that's on the table.
No, not troubling Tribune.
Oh.
Troubling glober. I just saw his
Tribune.
name.
Tribune.
There's only
troubling glober.
It's like a lagoon, but a tribune. Troubling tribune.
Invisible Man is legendary.
No, I'm not.
Indeed.
I'm just a retard.
I'm a little retarded.
Yeah, it's Job 1, and I'm looking for the skin for skin because I had it last week.
That's really interesting that if it does hold true to the skin for skin in the English, I would take that to mean like that's kind of a gamble that the adversary was taking. Like, hey, let me mess with them skin for skin.
Yeah.
And I'll show you what he really feels about you, and that's really interesting. I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, neither have I. I just heard it last week. Because in Hebrew, light and fire are like the same word, and then skin is a very similar word to light. So, hold on, I'm trying to find this here. Wait.
Don't they use the word glory most of the time in English for that word?
Glory for light?
Yeah, in the English version, like King James, they usually use the word glory to represent that word.
I'm not sure.
Well, thanks everyone for coming to my Black Sun, event and day. But I think I'm gonna cut this stream off now. I've been going for about 2 hours. Even though we've kind of got off topic from the Black Sun a little bit, so I would like to cut this up and make an actual upload of the Black Sun presentation on its own. So I'm gonna end this stream, and because we're having, I think, such a good time with a crowded room, probably gonna reopen another live stream. If anyone's still watching on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey, I'll open up another free chat. You guys come by, watch us chat it up tonight. Thanks everyone for coming by.
Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, it's part of the show. Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while opening up the bars and keeping you chained down with mortgage bills and cars? Vaccines for your arms, kids sounding like supercharged, caffeinated hate-filled scars and rage-quit repertoires. No answers for yards, caught up in emotion that's not even yours. Imposter truths like impeccable retards, lined up for your serving of Gish Galloping wars. No remedy can save the lost, in love with the yarn. I'm tired of walking into refracted shards, poor science displayed by disgusting bards. Soaked in sin with your dupe is delight and a new hand of cards. Been so long, seems like for love I'm just too hard, I said. Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know. Intoxicated 8 makes you believe you're spinning in space while you have no shame or grace. It's a disdainful state I used to contemplate how to save myself from my own self-hate. Wonder why I was even made with a dreadful fate, forced to try and awake with a full plate. No one to help me stay awake or educate. I've had to liberate and fight through hidden gates, but my brother, heaven could never be late, and rockets don't work in space. It's all fake, the show is on Mars, it's a joke, but you're too far gone, it won't be long. Fepe's beak is strong. We have our song and we march along like streams of knowledge leading to God's holy pond, and lives of truth that hits the bong and sings the song, turns mankind from the wrong. We come in peace with a holy gown and all of us wearing our holy crowns. Said the earth is flat and we probably just won't get along. Just to go along, I said, welcome to the show, where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show, if you don't know